All right, we're live again. We're doing this. So if you are with me, you can hear me, just put a 1 in the chat so I know that you're there. You can see everything and you are ready to go for today. You guys are high level history community members. This is super awesome. So hopefully there are others that will be joining us. Not all the community members are in here right now, so some of them might be choosing to watch the replays. So Dylan, hey, I want to pronounce your name right. Is it Ayin? If I said it wrong, please let me know so that I know how to pronounce your name. Um, so something that you guys should know is that I have sent you now, you're all ambassadors, you all have affiliate links, your referral code. So I sent all of you an email with that code, and I even made like a short code for you so that you have that. So you can go ahead and tell your friends about it. I'll be, the next time you'll see Anya. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, thanks. Thanks for telling me that. Okay, Anya. So if you use your referral code and you share it with your friends, I'll be live next week, next Friday for period 2, and next Saturday for period 2 short answer questions. So you can start getting them enrolled, and that will help you, right? You're gonna get 15% of any referrals that you make. So just wanted to give you a quick heads up on that. Second, the session from last night is uploaded into the community. You should see it there in the group review party's content review replays. And so if you at any point want to go back and watch last night's, actually the one that I uploaded, I cut off, we went over a lot last night. So I cut off the last 40 minutes because that was just kind of us talking. So it's just the time where we actually talked about period 1. So feel free to rewatch that as many times as you want. So here's how today's going to work. I am going to, all right, so you can see, let's see, you should be able to, let me stop sharing my screen for a second and then share it again. So you should be able to see my Albert IO. So, all right, so it's there. Albert IO is a platform that I'm not affiliated with at all, but I like it because they have a bunch of practice questions on it. Actually, a few years ago, they were reaching out to all kinds of teachers to write questions. So I know that all these questions were written by teachers. So if you want a lot of practice questions, Albert IO is a good good way to do that. So I feel like so basically what we're going to do today is do some practice questions together. I have to kind of reorganize my screen here so that I can see. Here we go. So I'll be able to see the chat, and you'll be able to see my Albert IO screen. And I'm going to make myself even smaller because you don't need to see me that much. You can see the screen. So we're going to jump in. Basically what I'm going to do is first kind of go over how do I do multiple choice questions? How do I think through them so that you can kind of be in my brain for a minute, see how I might attack one of these questions, and then we'll do a bunch together. I bought a subscription to this, so I get to kind of share this with you now. And I'll be asking you to type in the chat what you think the answer is. Something you should know is that I have not done any of these questions before, even though I feel really confident on this time period. It is entirely possible that I get one wrong. These questions are hard. You should know that. Teachers are not perfect. So if I get one wrong, we're not going to make fun of me. We're just going to, type in the chat. You'll get it next time. So just keep that in mind. I was tutoring a student the other day, and this was actually for APUS, and I got one wrong, and he was like, I thought you were supposed to know all this stuff. I'm like, dude, that question was tricky. Some of these questions are no joke, right? So obviously there's a ton of stuff on here, and hopefully you can see when I scroll. Yeah, awesome. So is there a way for me to oh, looks like I had, that's weird. Chat is private. I want to make, hang on a second. Why can't I make the chat? I'm trying to figure out how to make the chat public. That's weird. I had it last night. I don't know why I can't. Here we go. All right, so we might just have a private chat today. Sorry. I'm not sure exactly what the deal is. It seemed like it was easy yesterday, but I'm having some trouble today. So the chat will just be private today. I don't know. I'll have to like try to fix it for next time. I feel like it should be easier than it is, but it's not. So anyways, sorry about that, guys. But let's get into this. All right. So it'll just be private, I guess. Actually, if you want to just give me 1 second, I'll just send them a quick. What the heck am I doing? All right, now I'm having a bunch of trouble. Okay, forget it. It's just gonna be private. So sorry, that sucks. My bad. So I'll fix that for next time so that it doesn't happen again. Okay, so all right, now I'm getting lost in all my tabs. All right, so we've got here are the questions. All right, so actually it's kind of good because now you get to answer the question and not know what everyone else said. So let's pretend I made it that way on purpose. All right, so on here they've got questions for every single part of what we went over last night. So key concept 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So we're just going to kind of do a few questions for each. Tonight will be shorter than last night. Like we don't need a full hour. We'll probably go for like 30, 40 minutes, depending on questions and the discussion that we're having. So let's start here. Let's just start at the very, very beginning. So let's see. We're just going to hit practice on here and look at this very first question. So for this first question, you're welcome to throw in an answer if you think you know the answer. Is the screen big enough, by the way? Can you see let's see. Having a lot of trouble today, guys. No, it's not big enough. All right. If I scroll down here, can you read the questions? Because there's like a giant thing in my way from seeing what you're seeing. So if it's right here, can you read the questions? Or if I read it to you, is it close enough? Too small. Yeah, I can see the question, but not the stimulus. All right, we're going to do our best. Okay, so this is going to be, we're going to figure this out and we're going to make it better every single time that we meet. Okay, so for today, we're going to make this happen with what we got. So what we have here, so I'll kind of do some describing too. And I know this one is like huge. I'm not sure why they have such a giant stimulus. So in this stimulus, you can see, first thing that I would do in any multiple choice question is look at the source. Okay, so underneath here, it says Venus of something, digital image. So it's just telling us like where it came from. This one in particular isn't actually telling us all that much about it, but I'm going to take a look at it. I can see that it's, quite old. It's got all these like etches in it, trying to figure out like where it might be connected to. So what's the question? So then I'm going to hit the question. So then I'm going to look at, read the question first. And then the first thing I'm going to do is try to figure out which of these answers is wrong. So instead of trying to figure out the one that's right, I'm going to try to figure out which ones do I know are incorrect. So Paleolithic communities were typically organized in which of the following ways? Okay, so I'm already wondering how it's connected to the stimulus, but, let's read the answers maybe. So A says power. We can zoom in here. Here we go. Power was held by a single ruler who owned agricultural land on behalf of the community. Well, based on what I know about Paleolithic communities, they do not have a ruler. So I already know that A is wrong. Let's look at B. Without a strict hierarchy, political power was often held by a leader selected by the community. Maybe. Written law codes provided legal justifications for rulers' authority. Okay, so that's going to happen later. That's not in the Paleolithic era. Organized religions centered on male deities allowed priests to justify rulers' power. So, first of all, if I'm looking at this, male deity. So deity is a god, right? And so I'm thinking, first of all, organized religion in the Paleolithic era, not really a thing. Second of all, these people look like women, right? These don't look like men. So if anything, they're like female deities. So if I go back here, so again, I'm taking a guess here. So if I'm wrong, we're going to learn from it. My guess, so I already crossed off a bunch, right? I know it's not A because there isn't that single ruler. I don't think it's C because it's not, you don't have the law codes. And I don't think it's D because organized religions didn't exist. So I'm going to go with B. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Hit B if you also would go with B. Or if you feel like I should go with something else, hit something else. Sweet, sweet. B. All right, we're taking a jump. We're going with B. Submit answer. Woohoo! All right, B is correct. Right. So you know, like you can kind of see like what I did there, right? Like I'm marking off the things that are wrong. I'm really looking for the ones that I can definitely mark as these. I know these are not going to give me the answer, right? And then I'm trying to figure out which ones are based on that. What do I have left? This one was nice and easy because I was able to mark off 3 as incorrect and then know that, okay, it's the next one. It's the last one, right? All right, let's go to the next question. So the next question is based on the same stimulus, right? So you're going to have 3 questions, maybe 4, maybe even 5, based on one stimulus, usually 3. So based on your knowledge of world history, which of the following statements most accurately summarizes Paleolithic gender norms? Whew, okay, so we're looking at basically in the Paleolithic era, what was the gender norms? What did it look like for women versus men? What was normal for the different genders? So we've got women remained in stationary settlements while men did much of the food gathering. I'm not sure if that's correct, right? Because remember we talked about women being part of the food, right? They're the ones that are really doing the gathering. Men are doing the hunting. Women were treated as property and did not engage in significant economic work outside of the settlement. Not so much, right? Like we know that women were a big part of the economic work. Men spent much of their hunting, which supplied a regular source of food. Well, there's a typo in here. While women were relegated to the less productive gathering of wild plant foods. Okay, I don't like how that one's worded because I don't think it's fair to say that the plants were less productive, but that one feels better. Women did much of the food gathering labor while men sought social status through danger hunting expeditions. All right, so now I'm a little tied here. So, okay, so I'm going to cross off A because I know that that's not right, right? You don't have, like, women are not remaining, like, stationary, and the settlements themselves are not stationary. This is the Paleolithic era. People are moving around, right? They're nomadic. Women were treated as property and did not engage in scientific economic work outside of the settlement. I don't think that's true either. Like women are a big part of this. So we're between C and D. Men spent much of their hunting, which supplied a regular source of food, while women were relegated. So that word right there, relegated, that to me is kind of showing me that C might be incorrect because I don't feel like women were relegated to anything in this time period. So my answer to this question, I think I'm going to go with D. What do you think? Type in the box what you think the answer is. If you agree or maybe you disagree. D. Sweet. All right. Dylan says, I'm very between C and D, but I'd go with D. Bethlehem, what does relegated mean? Great question. Relegated means that you're like kind of shoved to like a lower standing. So for example, you could be relegated to a lower class, relegated to like a worse living condition, right? And it's like not a good thing. You're like forced to be in that. So that's that word right there. That's the reason why I'm going to go here. But even if I didn't know what relegated meant, these words too, less productive is, you know, still like kind of a question mark because it's still, it's like, how is that going to work? So let's go with D. All right, we're killing it, guys. Good job. So awesome. So it looks like other people too were torn between C and D. The one thing that gets me with D is that it says social status hunting. I know, right? So like that's not really fair either. So something to remember is that these questions are not written by College Board. So they're not going to be perfect. Teachers wrote them. So I don't know. That right there, that bothers me too. But it's the most correct, right? Something else that you can pay attention to when you're doing questions like this is the standards here, right? Like here is telling you that this question is based on the social theme. So, things like kinship, class, gender, race, that's all social. And then it's also telling you that this is a comparison question. So all the multiple choice questions get tagged with a theme and a skill. And so you can kind of figure out which theme or which skill you're doing most poorly in on multiple choice. And that's like an interesting way to adjust your studying. Just out of curiosity, do you feel that Albert is a good way to review for the exam? I mean, yeah. So I feel like, oh, look, this map was literally on the review last night. I feel like Albert does a pretty good job of giving you practice exams. But, in general, you're going to want to get practice tests, right? Like you want to take questions. One thing that I know is about to be released is a Romulus AP World app. And that one is awesome, but that's for like evidence points. That's going to ask you like quick questions to like jog your memory on key terms. Albert gives you all kinds of like multiple choice questions for every time period. And then they have short answer questions here as well and free response. So if you're looking for practice exams, this is a good option. It's more expensive though than a prep book. So like for example, the Kaplan prep book right now is free on Amazon. So if you download that for free, I think it comes with 3 practice exams. So do you need Albert? No. Is it useful? Sure. Will that be on the test? Dylan, do you mean like that specific type of question, like about Paleolithic women? The tagging? No. So they won't tell you on the test what it is. It's just a way for you to get a good sense of where you are. So the released exam that College Board has, like if you go onto College Board and use their most recent practice exam, you'll notice that every single question is tagged. So you could take the exam and then figure out which skill you did the worst in, which theme you did the worst in, and which time period you did the worst in. And that kind of helps you like target your review better. All right, so do you want to do more together? So if you want me to do this one on my own again, if that was helpful, hit a 1. If you're ready to do this together, hit a 2. So if you want me to just talk through it again, if that's useful for you, hit a 1. If you're ready to do some together, hit a 2. Give me a sense of where you're at. 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. All right, so we're kind of all over the place. So let's do this. Since the chat is private, then we can do both. So here is the stimulus. I know it's kind of zoomed in. So I'll read to you. This is early human migrations. It's awesome that this was almost the exact same map I showed you last night. So if you want to just answer it, go ahead and just type it in when you feel like you know the answer. If you want to wait and I'll talk through it, that's fine too. So here's the map. I know that it's early human migrations. Notice how they took this from Wikipedia. Like that's not going to happen on the test. Heads up. But okay, good map. Which of the following conclusions is best supported by the map? Note, dates show the approximate first entry of humans into each region before the present era. So we're looking for which of the following is best supported by the maps. Let me show you all 4 answers so that you can read them. A, human migrations across the globe were very gradual, taking nearly 500,000 years to complete. I don't think 500,000 years. That seems like a really long time for human migrations. I don't even think humans were around that long. B, modern humans evolved from earlier populations of hominids such as Homo neanderthalensis and Homo erectus that had previously left Africa. That's entirely possible. Humans used advanced tool-making techniques to adapt to diverse climates. Okay, we'll come back to that one. Humans migrated to Australia before entering Europe or the Americas. All right, so we're going to scroll back up. So we need to look back at the map and see if humans got to Australia before they got to Europe or the Americas. All right, well, they got to Europe in like 40,000 years ago. They got to Australia 50,000 years ago. And then the Americas about 15,000 years ago. So no. So we know D is wrong. We know A is wrong because it doesn't take 500,000 years, right? We don't have that. So we've got modern human evolved from earlier populations of hominids, and this is key that had previously left Africa. And C, humans used advanced tool making techniques to adapt to diverse climates. All right, so what do you think? Before I tell you what I think I'm going to go with, drop your answer in the chat. Let's see what you got. Dylan's already answered his, so I'm not going to say it and ruin it for the rest of you. So drop an answer in there and let's see if we are correct. All right. You guys are good. So you guys are all saying the same answer that I would have. And here's the thing. I took an L on this one. Oh, no, don't take an L on it. So don't ever take an L on a multiple choice. You can guess. You can always guess. You know, you're 50-50. So here's the thing. C, use advanced tool-making techniques to adapt to diverse climates. That's true. But this map doesn't support that. This map doesn't tell us anything about how humans adapted to the climates, right? So that's really important. Like, this question is saying best supported by the map. Like, this is not supported by the map. So let's see if we're good. Oh, no. Oh, man, we all got it wrong. Wait a second. I don't even think that's right. Did we read this wrong? Humans migrated to Australia before entering Europe or the Americas. This map shows the African origin of modern humans. Recent evidence drawn from the comparison of DNA markers. I don't think this question is correct. Humans migrating out of Africa first entered the Middle East before later entering Europe and the Americas. The maps uses dates before the current era, so larger numbers. Oh, man, we got tripped up, you guys. We did not pay close enough attention to something here. So we totally got bamboozled, Dylan. Every single one of us got this wrong. You were close with not a single one of us. Dang. Okay, so we have something to learn from here. Okay, so I totally missed this. So it's really easy to overlook. Not only did I miss it, I thought the question was wrong. I didn't even believe that we got it wrong. Humans migrated to Australia before entering Europe or the Americas. Okay, so the key here that we should have remembered is that this map is looking at, look, and it's telling us right here, before the present era. All these dates are BCE. So that means that the larger numbers are further away. So 50,000 BCE. So I'm thinking that this was like 50,000 years ago, but that's, I don't know. We got bamboozled for sure. All right, let's go to the next one because yikes. I mean, I think the thing to learn here is pick really close attention to details. But listen, to be honest, this is a good example of a question that I think is trickier than what you're going to see on the test. Like this like totally tried to trick us. I don't appreciate that. All right. Which of the following provides the best explanation for how early humans arrived in Australasia 50,000 years ago? Okay, now they're going to tell us. All right, provides the best explanations. We got the same map. So now we're looking for how did early humans get to Australasia 50,000 years ago? Okay, here are all the answers. When you think you know it, drop your answer in the chat. People used boats capable of voyages beyond the sight of land to reach Australia. Early migrants took advantage of land bridges exposed by low sea levels. Okay, we'll have to go back to the map after this. Hominids reached Australia during much earlier migrations of Homo erectus. Australia's remoteness made it the last major landmass reached by early human migrations. Okay, so I think that D is wrong because of the last question that told us that humans went to Australia before some of the other places. Let's see. I mean, the question is asking how early humans arrived there. So this C doesn't really tell us how. I mean, I don't know, guys. We got different answers here. One says B, one says C. I feel like I want to go with A, right? Because A is kind of telling us that people used boats. I feel like the land bridges was only up here, right? They used the land bridge to get to the Americas. But I don't think there were land bridges here. I think in Oceania they really used boats. So that's why I'm gonna guess A. But one of you said C, two of you said B. Let's see. And then we're gonna move on to a different time, not time period. All right. Question A. So the key there was that there was never a land bridge going to Australia. C is wrong because modern humans were the first hominids to reach Australia. And, D is wrong because Australia was reached long before the Americas, which we knew. So, Dylan, your question is, did people have boats in pre-Neolithic societies? Yeah, they did. Not as like technologically savvy as anyone else, as later, but they definitely do have boats. They're pretty simple. All right, let's see if there might be one more question attached to this. All right, let's do this one quickly, and then let's move forward into key concept 1.2. So, which of the following best accounts for the rapid spread of humans being across the globe? Okay, so we're trying to figure out why humans spread so quickly across the globe. Oh, you know what I totally miss you in this map in that first question is this key right here. I don't know why I didn't even look at that. So, look at keys. All right. Which of the following best accounts for the rapid spread of human beings across the globe? A, again, when you know the answer, type your answer in the chat. Humans were naturally suited to a variety of climates. Early humans migrated with domesticated herd animals, which they used as a food source during their travels. Early humans adapted to temperate and subarctic climates beyond Africa. And modern humans evolved from a multi-origin human species that left Africa much earlier. Whoa, you guys, this is not an easy question. I wonder if this one's tagged as a hard one. All right, so let's just go back to the question. Which of the following best accounts for the rapid spread of human beings across the globe? So we're trying to figure out why humans would have spread so quickly across the world. Humans were naturally suited to a variety of climates. That's kind of true, right? Like humans can go anywhere in the world and well, I mean, you still have to like adapt to it though. Early humans migrated with domesticated herd animals, which they used as a food source during their travels. I don't think they would use. Okay, early humans, first of all, didn't domesticate animals. And even if they did, I don't think they would use them as a food source. Early humans adapted to temperate and subarctic climates beyond Africa. I don't know if early humans adapt to subarctic climates. Modern humans evolved from a multi-origin human species that left Africa much earlier. All right, what are we thinking? Two of you have submitted answers. What are we thinking? Take a guess. I'm going to go with what you guys say. So I'm not going to tell you yet because a few of you haven't answered. Take a guess if you haven't taken a guess yet. All right. You guys are split, which is kind of interesting. We need one more. And Justin, where are you at? You don't get to take an L on this one again. There you go. All right, so we've got A, C, A, C, A, B, or C. So that means more of you have said C. So I'm going to go with what you guys said. C. Boom! Look at that, you guys. Advanced technology such as bone needles, complex language, and stable social structures gave early humans the ability to survive beyond the subtropic climates. That's awesome. So it looks like they were able to adapt to those like really intense climates, and that helped them to travel faster. Choice A is wrong because early humans were naturally suited to the subtropics of Africa. Okay, that makes sense. You're naturally suited to like where you come from. Choice B is wrong because domestication didn't happen for another 40,000 years. Okay, so we had talked about that. And choice D is wrong because modern humans evolved from a single origin species in Africa. Cool. So it looks like if you guys took this test together, you'd be on your way to a 5. All right, so I'm going to move over. So even though there's more questions here, we're going to scroll. Let's see. I'm going to go back to period 1 and go into AP World History. We're going to go into 1 point. Thank God this will only be a small portion of the test. Tell me about it. This is a tough section, you know, like early human societies are no joke. All right, so let's do Neolithic Revolution and early agricultural societies. So I'm just gonna like scroll down so we get some different ones. Let's do this one. All right, another map. Oh no, let's do this one. Here we go. This is a good one. This has the text that I was talking about. This is Jared Diamond, The Worst Mistake in the History of the Human. So I'm going to zoom right in. We haven't done a text one yet. And let's do these 2 questions. These 2 are labeled as difficult, but we're going to make it happen. If we get it wrong, we're going to learn from our mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to do some story time for you. I'll just read this to you so you can sit back and enjoy the story. So this is Jared Diamond. Jared Diamond is an anthropologist, and this is coming from a magazine article that he wrote. The worst mistake in the history of the human. There are at least 3 sets of reasons to explain the findings that agriculture was bad for health. First, hunter-gatherers enjoyed a varied diet, while early farmers obtained most of their food from one or a few starchy crops. The farmers gained cheap calories at the cost of poor nutrition. Second, because of dependence on a limited number of crops, farmers ran the risk of starvation if one crop failed. Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Third, the mere fact that agriculture encouraged people to clump together in crowded societies, many of which then carried on trade with other crowded societies, led to the spread of parasites and infectious disease. Epidemics couldn't take hold when populations were scattered in small bands that constantly shifted camp. Besides malnutrition, starvation, and epidemic diseases, farming helped bring another curse upon humanity: deep class divisions. Hunter-gatherers have little or no stored food and no concentrated food sources. Like an orchard or a herd of cows, they live off the wild plants and animals they obtain each day. Therefore, there can be no kings, no class of social parasites who grow fat on food seized from others. Only in a farming population could a healthy, non-producing elite set itself above the disease-ridden masses. Whoa! Okay, so obviously Jared Diamond hates farming, right? So he's saying there's, like kind of what we talked about last night. There are, reasons, and he talks about 3 reasons here why agriculture was bad for our health. So, which of the following statements would best support the author's assertion that agriculture was bad for the human species? So, basically, which of these would Jared Diamond agree with? Patriarchal, class-based societies developed in agrarian communities. Best support the author's assertion that, well, A is kind of right. All right, so we're trying to figure out, though, is that which one would he say this happened and this was bad for humans, right? So that, this is a thing that happened. We know this happened and this was not good for humans. High yield crops such as wheat, corn, or millet promoted population growth. Okay, Specialization of labor accompanied the development of farming, and technological innovations such as the wheel and the plow helped early humans farm. What do you think? Send me your answers. Boom, boom, boom. We got 2 in. Stuck between 2. Can't choose 2. You got to choose 1. All right, all right. All right. You guys are in agreement, and this is the one that I would choose too. I would choose that one because that one's the only one that sounds like a negative thing, right? And he talks about it a lot. Awesome. So choice A. The other ones are not necessarily, they're not necessarily like bad things. Sweet. All right, next. This is based on the same document. Which of the following historical events that occurred long after the agricultural revolution is the least supportive of Diamond's claim that agriculture was bad for humanity? So basically, we need something that happened a lot later than the agricultural revolution that was good, right? Like something that would have been like not supportive of his claim. So it's, all right, let's think about this. This is kind of a cool question because this is actually forcing us to make some connections to later time periods. All right, so we've got the Black Death of the early 14th century, the creation of merchant guilds such as the Hanseatic League during the Middle Ages, the Great Irish Potato Famine of the 19th century, and the practice of feudalism in medieval Europe and Japan. Okay, so Jared Diamond is saying agriculture was bad because it led to things like disease and social classes and diets that weren't as nutritionists, whatever. So it comes down to which one of these is least supportive of his claim. So all of these things happened long after the agricultural revolution, so all of them are possible. Which of these, though, doesn't align with his claim? What do we think? We've got 2 answers so far. I'll give you a second. All right, got a 3rd answer. All right, I'm going with you guys on this one. You guys said B. I'm a little torn on this one, but let's see if we're right. Woo! Nice. So A was a terrible epidemic in urban centers, right? So the Black Death would not have happened as it did if we still were hunter-gatherers. C, caused by a blight on the most important crop in Ireland. Yeah, right. The Irish potato famine doesn't happen if we're not farmers. Like, we don't have potatoes. D, type of social division that's centered on peasant. Okay. So this is a big thing. So D, in talking about feudalism, that's an example of a social class hierarchy. So that would not have existed had it not been for agriculture. Whereas with this is not necessarily, this could have existed with nomads as well. But it's not necessarily like, it's least supportive of his claim. Like, this is kind of a good thing. Sweet. All right, so I think we answered both the ones attached to that. Let's go forward because, or maybe we'll do one. Oh, here, look, there's more. Look at how many of these questions there are about this one document. Diamond's argument, part 2, worst mistake in history. They asked a bunch of teachers to write questions. They all wrote about the same thing. So like this document, if you see it on your test, you're going to be like, yes, I've seen this before. I know what to expect. All right, let's jump forward because all those questions are stupid. Early agricultural, pastoral, and urban societies. Let's do here. Practice. All right, Hammurabi's Code. Yeah, let's do this one. I feel like on every test, Hammurabi's Code comes up. So this is one that's worth knowing. All right, you want me to read to you again, or you want to read to yourself? Give me a 1 if you want me to read to you. All right, I'll read to you. Hammurabi's Code. When the deities of old, who allot the destinies of the world, gave the rule of human beings to Marduk, set him over all the other deities, made Babylon the foremost city-state in all the earth, and the capital of an everlasting kingdom, with foundations laid strong as those of heaven and earth. At that time, I, Hammurabi, the pious, God-fearing prince, was called forth by name for the welfare of the people, to cause justice to appear in the world, to destroy the evil and the wicked, so that the strong should not oppress the weak, and to rise like Shamash to give light to the land. Ooh, he is full of himself, isn't he? Look at him. He's just like, I am here to save the world. Okay, so here's his, what is it? Oh, it looks like this is an excerpt from Hammurabi's Code, and then an excerpt from a different similar thing. This is Sargon of Akkad, a different Mesopotamian ruler. So, all right. So we're looking at, it looks like we're going to be asked about justifications for their leadership. So I guess we should have looked at that first. So, if we think about Hammurabi, he's justifying his leadership based on, you can see him talking about the foundations laid strong as those of heaven and earth, the pious, God-fearing prince, right? Called forth by name for the welfare of the people, right? So like, who is he called forth by? And then here, to rise like Shamash would be like a shaman. Okay, so my mother was a changeling. My father I knew not. The brother of my father loved the hills. My home was in the highlands where the herbs grow. My mother conceived me in secret. She gave birth to me in concealment. She set me in a basket of rushes. She sealed the lid with tar. She cast me into the river, but it did not rise over me. The water carried me to Aki, the drawer of water. He lifted me out as he dipped his jar into the river. He took me as his son. He raised me. He made me his gardener. Oh, Dylan, thank you. Shamash is a Mesopotamian god, not a shaman. That's really useful to know. Thank you. The ancient leaders in the excerpts above invoke which of the following justifications for their leadership? All right, so let's look at the answers. Both of them are using what to justify their leadership? The support of a deity, charismatic speaking skills, military prowess, or a democratic vote. What do you think? I'll go back up. Looking at these again. And the deities of old who allot the destinies of the world. Ooh, okay. All right, so you guys are all in agreement. And Dylan, you had a really good answer to this. So let's answer it, and then I'll read what you said. Boom. Choice A. When Dylan answered it, he actually mentioned that Aki and Shamash are both mentioned as giving them some form of rule. So you can see that happening here. You have Aki down here, and then you have Shamash up here. And so both being different gods. So I guess you had to know they're both gods. But even if you didn't know that both of those were gods, I think you can still tell that they're given their like strength, they're given their leadership through a like higher being. They're connecting their rules to deities, to gods. Next. The presence of Hammurabi's Code in the historical record supports all of the following inferences except... okay. So the fact that Hammurabi's Code was written down, the fact that it's a document that exists, allows us to infer all of the following except People believed in the idea of private property. People desired justice. All people were expected to follow the laws. All people voted to approve these laws. What do you think? We can infer all of the following about Mesopotamia, except what do you think? Type your answer in when you got it. All right, we got a couple different ones here. Okay. People believed in the idea of private property. Well, Hammurabi's code. So one thing to note here is that in this actual excerpt of Hammurabi's code, it's not really giving you what you need to be able to answer this question. You kind of have to know the rest of Hammurabi's code, know what it talks about, right? To know that inside that, we do see private property. Remember, it talks about like stealing, what happens if someone steals something from you. So if you can have something stolen from you, that means that you own it. That's your private wealth. People desire justice. I mean, kind of. I don't know. All people were expected to follow the laws, and all people voted to approve these laws. So you guys kind of were all over the place. You said D, A, C, D. Judging what I know about Mesopotamia, Neolithic societies in general, I have to go with D. I'm going to also go with D. Reason for that is because I don't think we can infer that there was any sort of democratic society there because of that. Maybe D, because I believe the rules were kind of different for the rich. Yeah, right? Like it wasn't like Hammurabi had people vote on things. But we do kind of see the rest of it. So let's see if we're right. Nice. All right, so we know that choice A is true because this period witnessed a transition from communal property. Right. So people own things. There's a rule against stealing, so that we know there's private property. Choice B is also true because people wanted to feel like there would be consequences if the laws were broken. There's if he's putting down the rules themselves, there must be like some kind of need for that. Choice C is also true because all people were expected to follow the laws, even if you didn't think it was fair to all people. And then we don't have the existence of a democratic process quite yet. None of these early civilizations practice democracy. All of them are sort of a like monarchy style or oligarchy, theocracy type, civilizations. Okay, the Hammurabi's Code and the Mandate of Heaven both include which of the following justifications for leadership? I think this one's nice and easy. What do you think? A through D. Boom, you guys are on it. Yeah, easy, right? Now we know it. Here it tells you all about Mandate of Heaven. But you're on it, right? Mandate of Heaven is about attaching a deity to power. Looks like there's more here, ancient legal codes. All right, let's do one more set of questions. Oh, maybe oracle bones, since we didn't really talk about those yesterday. Or I don't know, you guys choose between oracle bones and and Vedic hymns. Oh no, that's a lot of questions. I'm not doing that one. And writing systems. Oracle bones or writing systems? You can just write that in the chat. Oracle bones or writing systems? Writing systems, oracle bones, writing systems, writing systems, writing systems. All right, writing systems it is. Okay. Oof, that is a big picture. All right, we're looking at a letter sent by the high priest Luena to the king of Lagash, 2400 BCE, found in Tello, 2005. All right. The above sample of ancient writing is from Mesopotamia and was made with a wedge-shaped stylus on a clay tablet. Okay. A historian would most likely use this artifact to illustrate the development of which of the following. So basically, which language is written here? Remember, this is Mesopotamia. Go ahead, put your answer in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. You guys killed it. Cuneiform. Right, so hieroglyphics, Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, Mediterranean, Phoenician, that's like Greek. Good. All right, this one I think is harder. Of the following civilizations, which produced the least similar system of writing to each other? Whoa. Okay, so all of their forms of writing were similar except. Okay, so all of these civilizations had similar writing forms except which one? That's tough. You kind of just have to know. I guess you'd have to have seen all those different writings before. Um, all right, we've got maybe C, A, B, B, B. Some of those B's might have been from before. A or B, I think China used ideograms and Egypt used pictograms. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, but here's the thing though. If China used pictograms, would we go with them? Because the Egyptians and the Sumerians both use, like, what would you call this? Is this a, I'd think B. This is pictograms, right? Where like all the different they're different like little pictures. All right. Some of you guys say A. Some of you guys, you're definitely split. We're all split. How about we do this? Elimination tool. What the heck did that just do? All right. All right. So let's go with B because you guys say B. Ooh, should have gone with my gut. Let's see. Yeah, so it definitely is a difference between pictograms. So the best way to answer this question is to identify a few things that you know about each one of these languages, just like you did. You've got cuneiform as pictographs, so simple pictures that represent an entire word. So you can see here in this picture, each of these little things, each of these symbols would have represented a whole word. So this is all saying a bunch of stuff. And then the Egyptians have the same thing. That's what hieroglyphics would look like. Whereas looks like the answer was C. Huh. Is anyone right? Yeah, one person was right. Anya, you were right. So we've got choice C. This was an extremely simple 22-letter alphabet that was created around 1300 and would become the basis for the Greek and Latin writing systems. All right, so we were wrong entirely. It wasn't like that's the only one that wasn't based off of pictures. It's tough out there, you guys. All right, let's see. I think this is there's one more question here. Nope. All right, do you want to do one more or you feel like we've run this into the ground? Hit 1 for let's do one more. Hit a 2 with I'm done. I need my Saturday night. 1, 1, 2. Oh. 1. All right, let's do one more. Sabrina, if you're over it, feel free to log off. You can watch the replay. But we're just going to do one more. I'm going to choose this one. The importance of rivers to... Oh, gosh. I don't want to do that one. Olmec head in agriculture. Let's do this one. Ancient Olmec people carved the head below out of a solid basalt boulder. The head is nearly 10 feet tall. The dates of construction are not known, but estimates range from 1200 to 400 BCE. All right, so it's telling us about the head. No, don't worry about it. I'm not going to hold it against you if you log out early. It's okay. Good luck on your English essay. Colossal Olmec head. All right, look at them taking all their stuff from Wikipedia. Source 2, anthropologists and archaeologists wrote the article excerpted below using paleocological data to study ancient agriculture in Olmec areas along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. The area studied is about 5 miles from the place where 20th century archaeologists discovered the colossal head. Okay, so this is, all right. The earliest Zea, which is maize, pollen at San Andreas, represents exotic plants introduced and cultivated by farmers on the barrier beach. No wild species of Zea are native to the area. The appearance of small Zea pollen coincides with the initial period of forest clearing, evidenced by charcoal and disturbance pollen, such as that from grasses of the family. This is a whole I don't know. Large probable domesticated maize pollen appears only about 100 years later, and by 4800 calendar year BC. Extensive land clearing and maize cultivation were underway. Settlement of San Andreas is linked to the formation of the Beach Ridge and Lagoon system, which attracted maize farmers to the area because of the combination of tillable soils. Mouthful. Okay, so the question is, and then we'll look back at the sources again. A historian could best use source 1 and source 2 together to support which of the following contentions. Okay, so how can we use these together? Like, what argument can we make from them? So this is talking about the ancient Olmec people. They've carved out this head from basalt. It's 10 feet tall and, was built somewhere around 1200 to 400. 10 feet tall. That's huge. This is talking about studying ancient agriculture, looking at the Olmec areas on the Gulf Coast, about 5 miles from the place where the colossal head was located. There is an appearance of this maize pollen that is not native to that area. Okay, let's check this out. All right, so which of the following could we piece together the two sources to be the best argument? Agricultural abundance from maize cultivation permitted the development of a warrior class that conquered neighboring territories. Maybe. Domesticated maize eventually produced an agricultural surplus that allowed labor specialization, including artisans. Harnessing the energy of domesticated animals allowed Olmec artisans to transport massive basalt boulders, and surplus food enabled Olmec rulers to create an empire by conquering surrounding states. You tell me, what do you think? Agricultural abundance. I'm going to reread these. All right, so Dylan says he's cutting out C because America had no animals. I mean, there were some animals. Maybe D, but I don't think so. Oh, okay. Surplus food enabled Olmec rulers to... This is a tough one. All right, so 2 of you said B, 3 of you said B, 1 said D. B is most likely. B, domesticated maize eventually produced an agricultural surplus. Let's check it out. Boom. You guys are killing it. Choice B is correct because the sources both support the contention. Source 2 shows that people in the area of Olmec civilization began domesticating maize more than 7,000 years ago. And source 2 presents evidence that maize pollen under consideration was from human cultivation because no wild species of the maize plant were native to the area. So, both sources are necessary to support the statement. The human labor was available because of agricultural surplus, could have been used for purposes other than sculpture, and the resources for the giant head could have been based on a different stable crop. All right, well, learned something new. I think there's 2 more questions attached to this. Oh gosh, it says this one's difficult. All right, same sources. The paleocological data in source 2 illustrate which of the following developments. So let's just look back at this really quick. Just to remember, you've got, right, so which of the following developments? Well, you've got the fact that maize appeared in that area, right? So does it support diffusion of crops beyond their original area of domestication? Early agriculturalists domesticated locally available plant species. Pastoralism developed in grasslands and affected the environment. Or technological innovations led to improvements in agricultural production. Source 2, so paleocological data. Which of the following does source 2 illustrate? Maybe we want to reread source 2. Initial period of forest clearing, evidenced by charcoal. Large probable domesticated maize pollen appears only about 100 years later. Extensive land clearing, okay. Linked to the formation of the beach ridge and lagoon system. What do you think? All right, we got 2 answers so far. Diffusion of crops beyond their original area of domestication. Early agriculturalists domesticated locally available plant species. Yes, I think we can cross this one out because we know that the maize was not local to that area, right? Pastoralism developed in grasslands and affected the environment. Technological innovations. I think you guys are, oh no, go with L on this one. I think you're on point. Several of you have said A. That's what I would have said. All right, so choice A is correct because it talks about the maize originally like being from a different area and then being in the region that it's talking about. So choice B is incorrect because the authors of source 2 make clear that no wild species of Zea are native to. Right, so good job, Anya. Although maize is a member of the grass family, choice C is not correct. Pastoralism refers to production based on herding. And then the paleocological data in source 2 did not shed any light. Right, so good job. All right, last one. This is the last one for this. Source 1, again, the head. Source 2, which of the following best describes how Olmec culture was foundational for a later Mesoamerican civilization? Which of the following best describes, okay, so we're looking for why were the Olmecs the foundation for later Mesoamerican civilizations? Gupta civilization developed abstract mathematical reasoning, including the concept of zero. Inca civilization constructed an extensive road network and cultivated potatoes. Maya civilization relied on domesticated maize and built pyramids, and Mississippian civilization created enormous ceremonial mounds. All right, y'all. Last one. I think we can knock some out for sure. This one makes it nice and easy to like knock a few out. All right, so if we talk through these really quick, Gupta is in India, so that can't be right because that has nothing to do with Mesoamerican civilizations. Inca is in the Andes, right? The Incas are like in like modern day Peru. So even that is not quite correct, right? It's like a little bit further out. Plus, it just doesn't talk about these things. Right. Good change on your answer. Maya civilization relied on domesticated maize and built pyramids. That's the key right there, right? The two sources are talking about both of those things, maize and building monumental architecture. Mississippian civilization is in North America, so that's also not quite where this is. So we are correct. This is all about geography. You just got to know where these places are. So yeah, this kind of goes through exactly what I had just said. All right, so we've gone through it all. That's it for today. If you can just really quick, if you liked the way that today was set up, hit a 1 in the chat box before you go. If you feel like there should be something different for next weekend, next weekend we're gonna do short answer questions, so it will look a little bit different anyways. But just in case you're feeling like there's something missing here, just let me know. So all I wanted to do today was kind of practice the material that we did yesterday. So hit a 1 if you feel like this was good. I appreciated this. And if you feel like there's some suggestion, then you can let me know that, since the chat is private. Yeah, so next week. So period 2, we're gonna cover on Friday at 7 p.m. And then we're gonna do some short answer practice for period 2 on Saturday. So you've got the week to use your referral codes, see if you can get your friends, linked up and joining. Let me know if you want any suggestions for how to reach out to people. If you want to send them an email or a text, you want some help crafting that, I got you. So I will see you on next Friday. And if you have anything during the week that comes up that you need help with, if you have an essay or a test that you are doing this week and you want me to take a look at it or answer any of your questions, just shoot me an email and I'll help you out. All right. So have an awesome week. I'll check in with you in the middle of the week just to make sure that you're signed up for Friday so that you are in this little system. And hopefully your friends will join us too, because I think it's more fun. Thanks, Justin. You too. Have a good week. All right, so I'm going to log off. This review, by the way, will be uploaded within the next 24 hours. It takes some time to download it because this is an hour-long video. Sweet. All right, thanks, you guys. Period 1, check.